Okay, Mitch, good.
Hi, I'm Mitch Fadel, and I've spent most of my career in the working with a consumer, cash and credit constrained consumer, primarily through the rent-own side and pawn. I was with Rent-A-Center for a number of years. I spent 15 years as the president and chief operating officer, so I know that cash and credit constrained consumer. And then in pawn, I was the president of EZCORP, and out of Austin, Texas, where I live now. Really love serving the cash and credit constrained customer, and I think there's a great play in the pawn business for an acquisition strategy where I partner with a PE firm and we buy some stores and do some add-ons and really can add value to this highly fragmented business. The pawn business is extremely fragmented, and over 10,000 stores nationwide, and only about 1,500 are in the two public companies. So lots of, almost 10,000 stores. Again, highly fragmented. There's some regional chains to go out there and take a look at, and you can add a lot of value to a highly fragmented business. Maybe become what I would call a sub-consolidator, and you can build up, do some add-ons, build up. You know, if we get to 75 stores, we'll be the third largest company in the country because it's so fragmented. And then you really have a value to those public companies where they can do one acquisition and grow that fast.
What had you? Why would an executive like yourself or any executive watching this video want to attend a conference, become a member of Blackmore Connects? You know, when you want to try and get a board membership or get into private equity, you know, you just reach out to some recruiters and call some PE. It should be easy. Why bother this way? What are you learning?
Well, I learned a couple of things. I've been in the corporate world for, you know, my whole career, and interestingly, the whole putting together an investment thesis through the Blackmore process was a great process for me, because you would think after, you know, being an executive, C-suite executive for all those years, oh, I'll throw a thesis together. Well, I really didn't know how to throw a thesis together. So I think that was very helpful from the beginning. The actual conferences are what I've seen so far today, and it's just been tremendous. One-on-ones with a dozen PE firms. I mean, you know,
couldn't you get that?
I don't know how long it would take me to talk to a dozen PE firms.
Well, let's hypothesize. How long would it take, and how much would it cost to get an in-person meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I bought one plane ticket from Austin, Texas to Chicago, and here I am meeting with a dozen PE firms. So it would have cost thousands of dollars, and it would have taken an awful long time. I mean, I guess the best answer to that, too, Gerald, is I've only been doing this for about 3 months. Decided it was after the first of the year, me and you talked for the first time. It was sometime in early January, and here we are at the beginning of April. 3 months later, I've got a thesis that you've helped me with, and Yelena's helped me with, and proud enough of the thesis to send anybody in the country. And here I am meeting with a dozen PE firms today, and that's, you know, 90 days later. You know, not only have the thesis done, but actually having meetings and people giving me some feedback on it. You know, an interesting thing about PE firms that I guess I knew, but it's coming clearer now. You know, you talk to a PE firm and they say, this is probably the greatest idea I've ever heard of. It won't work for our firm, but it's a great idea. You know, because they've raised money from private investors saying we're going to invest it in this business, and it might not be a specialty finance business like pawn. So you know, they might love the story but it not be right for them. The good news is most of the people I talk to today, it is right for them.
Yeah, it is.
So only a couple that it's not. But I sure appreciate their feedback. I learned something from those meetings too. So
why would it? So if you were to tell executives, list out your top 10 reasons of how it's worth and what you get by attending a Blackmore Connects conferences.
Well, 10 or 12 meetings in one day. PE firms. There was 3 panel discussions today that I learned a lot from. Now, granted, when you've been an executive as long as I have, a lot of it's just you're hearing things. It's a refresher, you know, and that's okay because we all need refreshers. I found it very interesting though listening to them, and I've gone to a lot of seminars where I get pretty bored, but I wasn't bored at all today in those panel sessions. Move things along quickly. That's the other thing about. We've all gone to conferences that they can get pretty boring. Not one thing on the agenda today is more than 45 minutes. It's a 45-minute panel. You move to the next one. The meetings with PE firms are 15-minute meetings so that you can because all you're really determining is that there's a reason to talk further.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you go with 30-minute meetings or 45-minute meetings, what about the one I had where it doesn't make sense for that PE firm? What are
Yeah.
you going to do then? Just stay
Yeah.
there. So the process, the speed meetings, I think works very well, and I like that. I'm kind of a person that loses interest quick anyhow, so I kind of like how fast things move, and it doesn't seem like we've been doing this all day because the day flew by. So the top 10 reasons, certainly the opportunity to meet with these PE firms. The interesting thing too is you could get a meeting with a PE firm and fly to New York or fly to Chicago or fly to Los Angeles and meet with a PE firm, and 5 minutes after you spent the money to get there and stay in a hotel room the night before, 5 minutes later they go, oh no, we wouldn't invest in the pawn business, or we wouldn't invest in specialty retail. The thing about, I didn't just have like 12 meetings today with PE firms. I had meetings with PE firms that already had read the thesis and decided it was worth talking to.
Yes, that's right.
That's,
so it's all prearranged. People are already pre-qualified.
Yeah, I mean, talk about not wasting time that
Yeah.
way. And if there was one or two firms that this didn't fit for them, they didn't have the meeting,
Yeah.
and that's okay
Yeah.
because we're not wasting anybody's time.
Yeah,
So,
it's really.
so you might get a meeting, like I say, you might fly to New York, and just because you knew somebody there, they got you
Right,
10 minutes
happens
with
over and over.
the business development person.
Yeah.
But then you really just wasted your time and not to mention money.
Yeah, the average trip probably costs about $2,000 on those
Yeah.
quick trips.
Yeah.
Great, Mitch. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Good